Nine out of these 10 little girls playing hopscotch could be circumcised by the time they are 12 years old, for Sudan has the highest rate of FGM, or female genital mutilation, in the world. Now the Sudanese government has joined international condemnation of FGM, calling it an act of violence against women and children. It is backing the campaign to abolish the practice by challenging its traditional roots.
Let us leave our girls as they were born, as God made them. That is what Islam says.
The priest or sheikh is vigorously denying that the teachings of the Quran supports FGM, something many Muslims believe. The villagers of El Taloshi here in Kordofan have gathered to listen to him and to a doctor talking about female circumcision. The doctor details medical and health complications that arise from circumcision, something most women here have been through themselves.
ختان الإناث يقطع أجزاء مهمة جدا من أعضاء تناسلية الأنثى.
FGM cuts critical parts of the female organs, and health-wise, all her life. Health problems can be bleeding, tetanus, different diseases, childbirth complications, infertility, all caused by circumcision. It is mutilation of the female organs, and it shouldn't be called circumcision. It's mutilation. We see numerous problems resulting from circumcision. 25% of our work as gynecologists is related to treating complications caused by FGM.
تقريبا 25% من عملنا.
And organizations like UNICEF are concerned about the harm this practice does to women and children, and the fact that it is done without the consent of the child.
لأن ختان الإناث هو حقيقة female genital mutilation violates every international convention on the human rights currently in force, especially Article 19 of the Convention on the Rights of the Child. UNICEF believes that children have the right to be heard. They as well have the right to say no to this practice because it affects their health all through their life.
وأن يقولوا لا هو من الحقوق المنصوص عليها في هذه الاتفاقية.
I suffered during the first day. I could not urinate and they were trying to make me. It's not something you forget. What sticks in your mind is the sight of the needles and scissors and all those things. I couldn't pass urine for 3 or 4 days. The older women threatened to burn me, so I screamed a lot, and finally I managed to urinate. But it was totally exhausting, and the wound got infected.
Here, newly qualified midwives are taking an oath not to circumcise girls. This is a crucial part of the government's primary health campaign to end FGM, because midwives are usually the perpetrators of circumcision, even though they are not medically trained to do it.
The oath is the only solution. If they swear not to perform circumcision, then they won't do it. And I think this is the only way to stop it. But living and working in villages, they come under economic pressure from families to perform circumcision, something the health authorities are aware of and are working to change. We don't want the midwives or the local women to do circumcision. We want girls to remain intact. But of course, in the villages, there is pressure, and people of the village are still not aware enough to leave their daughters untouched. The aim is for total eradication of circumcision, and that is what this workshop is aiming at, by getting regional health visitors to monitor and support midwives in their work.
النظرة الآن الجديدة والحوار الذي بدأ
The debate that has now begun in the media, backing the work of voluntary organizations and government, will help alert midwives. But there is still the problem that women demand FGM, and this cycle has to be broken. So we are worried that instead of putting a trained midwife in every village, we are putting in a circumciser instead.
أو قابلة ماهرة لكل قرية أن نضع خاتمة لكل قرية.
The role of religious leaders is critical in changing attitudes by telling people that the teachings of Islam don't support female circumcision.
I have circumcised 2 of my girls, but I've refused to do the other 2.
في الدين ما في أي حديث ولا في آية بتقول الحكاية دي.
In religion, there is nothing that mentions circumcision in the Quran or teachings, and it is of course a disfigurement of what God has created, and there is nothing better than His creation. So I decided myself and with my husband not to circumcise our young daughter.
بالمشاركة طبعا مع زوجي ذاته إنه البنت الصغيرة دي تاني ما بعمل عملية بتاعت خطاب.
كده مرتاحة.
I'm happy now since I decided to leave my girls alone, but I regret circumcising the eldest too.
But there are those who believe that circumcision is according to the Prophet's sayings and that it is acceptable if done in the right way.
نحن نلجأ لربنا.
We trust in God in implementing His laws and the Prophet's sayings regarding circumcision, and so it's impossible to pass a law that bans all types of female circumcision, because the Prophet said it should be done. If a woman wants to have the prescribed Sunnah circumcision done on her child, then there should be places she can go that do it. And if she doesn't want it done, then that's her choice.
And while this might seem like a minority voice in the present climate, where opinion is growing to abolish FGM, public sensitivity about the topic still prevails. The influential national newspaper Al-Ayam found itself closed down after Dr. Ibrahim's column offering advice on problems to do with circumcision was published.
The Council of Print and Journalism read the doctor's advice and objected to what they saw as obscene words. Although both me and the doctor believe it was a clinical and objective treatment of an issue raised by many families.
Undeterred, the paper continues to promote discussion about circumcision.
I believe we, at Al-Ayam and all other newspapers, are concerned with raising people's awareness, on educating them and improving their knowledge about the health hazards resulting from this operation and which affects women for their entire life.
And the government is actively backing this movement to abolish female circumcision.
وبالنسبة للقابلات المدربات لا يبيح لهم القانون بممارسة.
Trained midwives are not allowed to practice circumcision by law, but it is still being done covertly in whatever form. Legal prosecution in these instances is not constructive. What is better and more effective is raising awareness, increasing health education, clarifying the harm done, and mobilizing the community. That's the way to do it.
وإبانة الضرر وتحريك المجتمع.
So the campaign has begun to make inroads into people's perceptions. But still many women, especially in rural areas, are reluctant to abandon the practice completely.
They believe that an uncircumcised girl is a disgrace, that there's something wrong with her, and they believe that she'll stay unmarried. That's why they insist that a girl is circumcised. Also, they believe circumcision stops a girl being promiscuous and having sex. I circumcised one daughter because her cousins were done, and my daughter said, "Mommy, do me, my cousins are teasing me." So I got a midwife to do it.
Asma has one daughter. Her resolve not to circumcise her comes from her belief now that it is against Islam, whatever the social pressure.
Older people say that if a girl is not circumcised, she won't get married, or bad things will be said about her.
Ishraka has 3 daughters. The first 2 she circumcised. but she doesn't want to touch her youngest, Ithar.
طبعا أنا أساسا ما كنت يعني حكاية السنة ولا الفرعونة ذاتها ما كان.
Although I didn't want to do Sunnah or Pharaonic for health reasons, as I've been through it myself, and even though their father also didn't want them to be circumcised, because of their grandparents, it was done, the Sunnah method.
في البيت وهنا جو عملوا الختان السنة ده حاجة بس بسيطة كده بس شعروا البظر بس ما عملوا أي حاجة تاني.
The compromise is to accept that the most extreme form of circumcision, pharaonic, is definitely harmful and opt instead for sunnah, the milder form, but that still involves cutting off the clitoris. The songs of change, composed by women raising their voices, challenging tradition. After 3 years of a campaign to raise awareness here in El Taloshi, a community leader says most of the villagers have rethought their ideas on FGM.
The practice has started to decline gradually. Every year, it's getting less. Through raising awareness and talks, people are understanding that this practice is harmful.
People are more aware. They have suffered from circumcision, not only in this village, but also in the neighboring village. A lot of harm has been done. A woman died giving birth, all because of circumcision.
The greatest increase in awareness was amongst the men. They are the ones who force their women to stop doing it, and it's happened.
For some, like Fatima, there is no dilemma about her only daughter, now aged 5, at least not right now.
I'll leave my daughter untouched. I will not circumcise her, not even later on.
Fatima and other mothers like her have to be supported in their decision, to be reassured that it's socially acceptable and to see circumcision outlawed. But will the government go that far?
Now that awareness is increasing, we think that shortly we can propose draft legislation that will prohibit this practice in law and stop it. And we at the Ministry of Health will try and have this law adopted soon.
Words of encouragement for those trying to bring about the abolition of FGM.
We are really encouraged by the effort that has taken place up to now to abolish this practice. We really need support, and the support necessary for this is important because it will reduce the harm done to the young girls and to women in Sudan. الصغيرات في السودان.
الظاهرة ونحن سميناه.
We know there's a long road ahead before we can eliminate this practice. But every journey starts with a step, and we believe we have taken that first step.
The Theatre for Life with child actors is telling its audience not to follow the pharaoh, who, as the story goes, insisted all women should be circumcised. It's the younger generation who are now growing up knowing about the dangers of FGM. They'll play a crucial part in deciding whether it remains part of their culture or not. Nine out of these 10 little girls playing hopscotch could be circumcised by the time they are 12 years old, for Sudan has the highest rate of FGM, or female genital mutilation, in the world. Now the Sudanese government has joined international condemnation of FGM, calling it an act of violence against women and children. It is backing the campaign to abolish the practice by challenging its traditional roots.
Let us leave our girls as they were born, as God made them. That is what Islam says.
The priest or sheikh is vigorously denying that the teachings of the Quran supports FGM, something many Muslims believe. The villagers of El Taloshi